All right, the purpose of this video is for you to be able to look at a formula, H2O, formula H2O, and be like, hey, I know what kind of bond type is existing between these two things. There are two types of bonds that we're going to talk about today, ionic and covalent. Ionic is when atoms like give and take, and one gets a positive charge, one gets a negative charge, and covalent is when they share. All right, and it really, the way to predict it's by where the guys are on the periodic table and based upon the formula. If you've got a metal and a non-metal, that's ionic. And if you've got a non-metal, and remember hydrogen is a non-metal, hydrogen or any of the other ones, it tends to be like a covalent bond. Now, there are two types of covalent bonds. We're just going to lump them both into one category, being covalent. So, in hydrogen dioxide, this crazy chemical that we have here, we have hydrogen, we've got oxygen. What's the bond type? Well, I look at my periodic table and I see that hydrogen is a nonmetal and oxygen is a nonmetal. I've got two nonmetals. Therefore, I know it's going to be covalent. Now, here's a second example. I've got sodium oxide, not dioxide, sodium oxide. And I said water wrong. I said hydrogen dioxide. It's dihydrogen oxide. Oops, sorry. Anyways, sodium oxide. Now, sodium is right there in the middle region of on the periodic table, and oxygen is right there. That is in the non-metal. All right. Therefore, I've got a metal, sodium, and a non-metal, oxygen. When they're bonding, that's an ionic bond. Sodium is going to give its valence electrons to oxygen and form a positive, a cation, a positive ion, a cation, and oxygen is going to take electrons from sodium and form an anion or a negative ion. So that's ionic. Now, this one's a little different. This is H2CO3. This is three nonmetals. The formula is carbonic acid. It's what is why things like Coke are slightly acidic, because they've got some carbonic acid in it because of the carbon dioxide and the water combined to make it. Now, I've got O, C, and H, all nonmetals. Therefore, this puppy is covalent. All right, covalent. Now, here we got sodium HCO3. This one's a little tricky too because I've got a metal, sodium, and three nonmetals. So what this means is the bonds here between these, that's covalent, but the ones here between this and everything else is ionic. So you would call this an ionic compound, but it does have covalent bonds within it. However, the whole thing together is an ionic compound. And that's the whole stick. So just to review, purpose was to figure out when you look at a formula if it's ionic or covalent. Ionic is a metal and a nonmetal, something from the left and the right on the periodic table. And covalent was when I got two nonmetals together. All right. Thanks a lot and hope you have a good night.